Hello, everyone. Firstly, thanks for listening. I'm humbled that you hit play. But before I dive headfirst into the first of the Play Squad Pod, coaching conversations with women just like you, I thought it was probably a good idea to say hello and to introduce myself. So, hello and welcome. I'm Katy and I am a personal trainer and a lifestyle and nutrition coach living down on the south coast of England in Brighton. But before I share too much about right now and where I am right now, let's go back in time and hit rewind. If only quick fixes to turn back time were that easy. Anyway, for 25 years, I felt like my life was on hold. I felt stuck. And whilst on the surface, everything looked fine, and some would say pretty rosy, I was basically stumbling through life. Weeks became months, which became years, which became decades where I was stuck in a giant rut. And I realised that as the pressures of life were going to increase with ageing parents, a growing family, my work demands, and the joy of menopause on the horizon, that rut would only deepen and it would erode my health, my physicality, and my joy even further. And that really terrified and saddened me because I knew that wasn't the life I wanted, because at the end of the day, who would? But I didn't know how to get out of that rut that was getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And the straw that broke the camel's back was when I saw a photo of myself from behind. And I looked like Nanny from Count Duckula, which might be a reference some of you get, and stick around for a few more era-defining references. But I was hunched over, trying and failing to make myself smaller and to shrink. And the pain that I saw from seeing that photo, it very much sat with me. And in January 2018, I made a phone call that fundamentally changed my life. I didn't know it at the time, but that phone call that I made in January 2018, it's a call that I can still remember the contents of. It set me on a mad but joyous journey to today. Now, in February 2018, whilst I was in the worst shape I had ever been in by some stretch, I started working with a personal trainer, and I didn't expect what happened to happen. In my head, I was going to do a 12-week program and then go back to my old life, basically. But those 12 weeks came and went, and over the course of 2 years, I lost 25 kilos in weight. I gained strength that I didn't know I possessed, and I rediscovered my love for movement and physicality and testing my body. My confidence over this time absolutely skyrocketed, as did my career. But despite this kind of outward success, I still found myself feeling very, very stuck. But the thing that I loved about my job that I had at the time was coaching and mentoring people within the organisation that I worked in to become the best selves in their career on their own terms. Now, this wasn't part of my job. It was not part of my job description. It was just something that I did. People came to me for help and advice and, I suppose, coaching, and I couldn't help it. It was something that I enjoyed doing and got a real buzz from. So back in, 2019, 2020, 2021, I had a well-paid career that I was doing really well in, but it really did not light a fire in my belly. And when I was increasingly being tasked fundamentally with selling more stuff that would make women eat more and move less, I knew that I had to jump ship from what I was doing. So I retrained. I retrained as a personal trainer and a coach, and I brought my history and experience of coaching and mentoring, as well as a wealth of real life experience, to clients. I always say to my clients that realistically, I'm only 5 or 6 years ahead of them. I have been where they were in relatively recent history. So I understand what it feels like for my clients and for women to be trapped and stuck in a rut and believe that certain things are out of reach. I know what it feels like to feel unattractive. I know what it is like to lack confidence, especially in social situations. I know what it's like to feel invisible. I know what it's like to lose fat and maintain that fat loss. I know what it's like to create and build positive habits and routines. And I sure as hell know how to climb and crawl out of a giant, giant rut. So now I'm helping my clients do exactly that. I'm coaching clients, women, to do the same and reclaim basically what they once gave up on and thought that they would never have again. I'm working to empower women to unlock their potential, to seize life by the horns and to pursue their goals. I want to make women who feel invisible feel visible, vibrant, and valued again. And ultimately, I want to help women be the main character in the movie of their life story, rather than just being a walk-on part, an extra without any lines who are blink and miss them on screen. I'm passionate about this because I felt like I had a walk-on part in my own life as well. And I felt I had a walk-on part in my own life fundamentally for decades. So why, above and beyond all that, do I work with the brilliant women that I work with? Well, I'm going to start with a bit of a question, actually. So did you know that women 45 to 65 are more likely than any other cohort of women or men of the same age to have a prevalence of common mental health issues like depression and anxiety? It's 20 to 25% of women of that cohort, in case you were wondering. You probably weren't aware of that because fundamentally women 45 plus are an invisible generation, and these stats are very little reported. You're far more likely to hear about mental health issues in younger cohorts, particularly for young men, where actually the young men at age 16 to 24, the prevalence of common mental health disorders is 9%. That rate increases slightly with age, but typically remains lower than the rates observed in midlife women. So these women like you, are effectively far more likely than anybody else to be having mental health disorders and feeling anxiety and depression. Yet, these are the very women like you, who are the linchpin of families across the UK. They're caring for aging parents. They are dealing with death and grief. They're raising their kids of a variety of ages, some pretty young. They're supporting those kids as they fly the nest. And they're a generation of women who routinely pull more than their weight in the household and do a second shift when they get home from work. I have clients who are juggling all of this right now, and it absolutely blows my mind how they manage to do it all. The mental load is absolutely massive, yet routinely unappreciated. All of this impacts their mental health hugely. And then you add on top, and it's in part a contributing factor, menopause, the associated impact on hormones, weight gains around the midriff. And, it's a lot. It's a lot. When it comes to kind of weight gain around the midriff, diet, nutrition, everything like that, this is a conversation that I have regularly with clients and consultations. They're women of an age where they feel like they should be mature enough not to have hang-ups about their body image. They feel like they should be mature enough to kind of compartmentalize and deal with that. But when you layer on top of everything else that is going on, decades of unrealistic beauty standards mixed with a wave of female celebrities over the age of 50 who, frankly, most 20-year-olds would love to look like, it's no wonder that they feel pretty blinking defeated. It's bloody hard being a 40, 45, 50 plus year old woman, is it not? But these women, you are a cohort of women who are wise, measured, kind, experienced, and should be absolutely in the prime of your life, like your male counterparts, like your partners, like your siblings. Yet you probably don't feel like you are. You shouldn't be feeling invisible. You shouldn't be feeling unattractive and consigned to kind of the scrap heap of life when fundamentally you're only halfway through it. Your mental health shouldn't be suffering because of this. And I say all of this because this is how I felt and how I still feel through clients when I first meet them. Life is pretty serious with little time, opportunity, inclination to just play, to try new things, to have fun. That can all seem a bit frivolous and selfish with everything else going on. But I fundamentally disagree with that because I don't think there is a group of people who deserve more to be helped to feel visible, to feel vibrant and to feel valuable, and they just get to play and escape that every day and have fun and discover time to themselves and joy in new things. So I've touched on this already, but my purpose really is about helping midlife women be the main character in their life, the main character in their life story, rather than just that walk-on part. And I do this through strength training, nutrition coaching, and lifestyle coaching. Ultimately, I am their biggest fan, and I want them to thrive. I want to help women do things in the gym and therefore in life that they didn't think was possible. This is the generation of women who, when they first and perhaps last went into the gym, never ventured into the weights area, as this was the men's area. This was not the area that we go into. Instead, they were raised on a diet of step classes, aerobics, adverts for, do you remember these? Adverts for Reebok pump trainers, Mad Lizzie and Mr. Motivator on breakfast TV. I'm passionate about helping them scrap all their preconceived, predetermined decades of, I was going to say information, but I don't mean information, misinformation that they have been fed, so that they can then embrace strength training and the positives that that has, not just for their strength, not just for their bone density, not just for their mental health, not just for their body recomposition in a way that loads of cardio won't address, but for all of those reasons, but ultimately to help them thrive and live a joyful, enriching, all-encompassing life. As well, and this was something, and I think this was why I thrived in my career, showing them that working hard in the gym with strength training and pushing themselves and achieving things that they didn't think were possible for them, how that has a huge impact on their confidence in other aspects of their life, just by demonstrating to them that they can do difficult things that will positively push them and will help them elsewhere in other aspects of life. So in this podcast, each week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive into those real conversations that I'm having with the women in my squad who are all working to transform their lives in different ways. Why is this what I'm going to bring to the table each week? Well, simply what they are going through and dealing with and finding challenging is the same for so many others. So each episode will feature those candid conversations and discussions that I'm having with them, and actionable tips on overcoming life's challenges and navigating midlife with strength and confidence. So if that sounds like a piece of you, then listen in each week, get in touch with questions, because ultimately I want you to be part of the squad as well. This is your SquadPod. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to you joining me for another episode very soon. Take care.